It's Wednesday, and you know what that means.
Well, JR, we know exactly what that means. It means we are late again with this week's show. So, apologies to all of our wonderful fans, followers, and anyone who's hitting refresh all week, just waiting for this week's show, you know. But we're here, finally. The Carl.
And for those of you listening through Apple, we're sorry we're a month late.
Yeah, some technical issues there. I blame Anthony. I mean, because why not? But finally, the Carl has come back. And with me, as always, it's the pizza eating, egg beating, double glazing, roof raising, son of a gun. It's Anthony.
It's true. Anthony. I do have double glazing.
All right, don't need to show off.
It's like the worst flex ever. But yeah, another fun-filled, action-packed, non-stop week we have here, Carl. What do we have, I hear you ask? Slight tickle, apparently. Hang on. We have, Carl, all the latest news and rumours in the world of wrestling this week in the Ringside Report. Then we're going to follow on with our exclusive, unique segments of the week in which we're going to be talking whiskey and wrestling.
Yeah, we are.
Volume 3, I believe, this time, Carl. The
Probably
third time.
Slaring whiskey and wrestling.
For those of you eagerly awaiting the sequel to Volume 2, this is where we just kind of don't have a direction. We just let's talk about wrestling in general. Any thoughts and musings we have. I always enjoy them, Carl. Always a little bit more off the cuff. Always a lot of fun. So we're going to have that this week. And obviously we're going to talk this week in wrestling. We're going to talk the 4 big shows being Raw, NXT, Dynamite, and SmackDown.
But before we dive into everything, Anthony, as become a custom, we will kick off with the A2theK little known fact of the week, and we'll ask our friend Road Dogg to lead us in.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah. And I'm not going to say it twice this time like I did last time. That's, that was a mistake. But recently, Anthony, I don't know if you have, I've been watching WWE's Most Wanted Treasures on the A&E network. Not WWE Network, the A&E network. So many letters, so many networks. But one of the episodes saw Undertaker and Kane looking for their old gear. And Undertaker found his old mask. And obviously, if you're fans of the show, you will know we had Stanley Sherman on, who's one of the most renowned mask creators. So go and check that out if you haven't already. But it got me thinking about masks again, Anthony, as I often do. And did you know the first ever WWE champion to wear a mask was actually Kane? When he defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin back in 1998. And he only had it for a day. But still.
My guts always feels like it's Mankind. Why is that?
Exactly, right? Mine too. So I thought it was Mankind. But even that is a bit crazy when you think about how long WWE's been going for. The fact that they've never had, any like a luchador or any masked character before Kane back in 1998 to win the top prize. Obviously, Kane only had it for the one night, the one evening. But still, he's the first
experiment that was Kane.
Exactly. But yeah, as you said, obviously Mankind held it, Rey Mysterio held it, and if you want to count the Universal title, I guess we could have.
I never do.
Me neither. But yeah, so in all them years, and despite us all thinking it was Mick Foley or Mankind, it was actually Kane, and that was this week's.
Oh, you didn't know?
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What a fun fact, Carl. I enjoy these every week. They're getting better and better.
That's it. I mean, I don't know about that, but I enjoy it too. And that's all that matters.
So, Carl, let me run you through the headlines for this week's Ringside Report. We've had a newsy week, haven't we? We've had a few things going on. So, let's quickly run through them, shall we? Coming up tonight in the Ringside Report, we have Chelsea Green undergoing I'll say successful surgery now because I don't want to be clickbaity. A successful surgery. We'll talk more on that shortly. We have the first trailer dropping for Stephen Amell's Heels, which is a new drama that will be airing on Stars, I believe, or Disney Plus, because, it's all the same now. We have Braun Strowman stating that Raw has been chaotic with last-minute changes recently. We have... Well, this one I'll phrase as a question, Carl. What's more insulting than receiving a trash bag full of your stuff? receiving a trash bag full of other people's stuff, but we'll talk about that a little bit more shortly. We have Jason Jordan being promoted to lead producer. We have Peacock signing up 9 million after adding WWE content. We could be getting another Goldberg return.
God,
We
no.
have WWE changing their closing signature, opening signature, wherever you want to put it. We have Santino Marella thinking that his daughter is ready for the bright lights of WWE. We have Maria Kanellis speaking out about Stephanie McMahon. We have the one Chris Jericho wanting Samoa Joe in AEW. And lastly, we have Daniel Bryan and his current WWE contract status. Has it expired? Find out in a little bit when we finish talking about the other ones, because we do them in order.
That's it.
So, Carl,
skip to the end if that's all you care about. That's what we're saying. But we will kick off with the first.
Go with the first one, Carl.
The first news item is, of course, the wonderful Chelsea Green. So she has undergone some surgery. Obviously, not to be clickbaity, it was successful surgery. As we know, she had a couple of issues with her arm over the years, basically, where she's had a number of arm breaks, wrist break, so on and so forth. And basically, we can report that she's undergone some successful surgery to get the metal plate removed from her arm. She put a picture out and captioned it with, "The plate in my arm is out. I'm ready to get back to work. It's been a long 2 years of struggling with breaks, surgeries, hardware, and some complications, but we are finally at the finish line." So happy for her that she, because what a tough run. It's such a shame if you think about it. If she hadn't got injured in that women's tag team match when she kind of re-debuted on SmackDown, then who knows? Maybe she'd still be there. But good news that the metal plate is out. She's feeling good. She's getting ready, and she's also stirring the pot a little bit, because she also put a tweet out saying, "Fun fact: I've never wrestled for Ring of Honor. I want to change that." So
interesting.
Is she going to go there? I think a lot of
Surprising
people
that it's not Impact, actually, but whatever.
Well, exactly. A lot of people assumed Matt Cardona's an Impact, so maybe that's where she'll end up. But yeah, I mean, maybe she's going to have somewhat of a flexible contract wherever she does end up and wrestle in a few different places. But great news for her. Hopefully she doesn't have any more injury setbacks coming up, and it'd be great to finally see her. I think she wants to go back to her kind of hot mess character that she had before she came to WWE. So
I think she's hinted at that a couple of times on social media as well, hasn't she?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing it anyway.
What a time to be in the Indies. I mean, the forbidden doors are just open everywhere.
Yeah, bloody hell.
Drafty as anything. It's crazy.
Exactly. I think they were fucking raised in a barn. But yeah, so that was just a little, a little bit of positivity to kick off the news this week. So,
well, do you know what? I'm gonna meet you with another little bit of positivity, assuming you like TV and you like wrestling, which, funnily enough, we do. We have the Stephen and Mel some time ago announced a new upcoming wrestling drama that will debut on Star, which again I believe is part now of the Disney Plus area of things, so it'll be very easy to get for all, which is fantastic. So this new show is going to be called Heels, Carl. Now this is stuff you probably already know. What I can tell you is that the first trailer has now actually dropped for this show, so you can have a look. So it's going to star Stephen Amell and Alexander Ludwig, who I'm not familiar with, but obviously another actor who, depending on the shows you watch, you might know quite well. And they'll be playing brothers Jack and Ace Spade, and it's going to be about obviously their conflict and the pair of them trying to sort of differentiate between the on-screen rivalry and real-life rivalry, and both obviously trying to live up to their father's legacy. Sounds like it's going to be a really good show, and hopefully, because we know that Stephen Amell is a huge wrestling fan, it's going to take a little bit of artistic license from a lot of the real-world drama we've seen in wrestling, so you'll probably you'll catch a few nods to that sort of thing with any luck. And for those obviously who want to watch the trailer, it's out there now, but for those who just can't wait for it to happen, you're going to have to wait till August the 15th, Carl. August the 15th, we're going to see it premiere. A little bit away, but when you think about it, it's not that far away.
It's not that far. Hopefully we get it over in the UK at the same time as the US. Obviously, being a big Disney nerd, I do have Disney Plus, and we do get Stars with that, so
And there's the thing, Disney,
we can watch it.
You can prevent piracy if you debut at the same time. I'm not saying that we will, Obviously, we'd never do that, but you could.
It's almost a bit of a veiled threat, that, wasn't it, as well? If you don't want me to pirate
unscrupulous
the fuck out of
individuals
this
could
show.
do that, so I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it sounds awesome. Obviously, big fan of the old territory days. A big fan of the likes of the Hearts and the Rock and kind of second, third generation wrestlers. So obviously having that element of coming from a family of wrestling and having real life dramas kind of play out is something which I'm really looking forward to.
I must say, like, I'm a mark straight away for the story when it's like they're trying to live up to their father's legacy. I'm like, straight away, that's gonna be a good wrestling story, like, because it's one we've sort of known in the real world of wrestling. Do you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
I'm excited for it. And am I right in saying CM Punk was involved in this in some way? Not that impacts whether I care about it or not.
Suddenly, my caring has gone down. No, he is involved in it. Yeah, I think he plays maybe like a secondary character or something in there. But he's we've seen promo photos of him as well. So I don't know how many episodes he's in or how big of a part he plays. But he's definitely in the show as well. So it'll be interesting to see if his acting chops are any better than his UFC chops. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! He only lasted a couple of minutes there too.
We're terrible people. I kid.
I know. Obviously, we
fair play.
CM Punk, you're an absolute legend. You really helped the face of wrestling when it was probably at its weakest. Let's be honest. So he held together WWE for a little while, pretty much. So nothing but respect for the man, really.
Yeah. Well, I am fully on the hype train for this show. And speaking of trains and wrestling being at its weakest, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman has sat down with Bleacher Report and talking about his time on Monday Night Raw. And basically, this probably won't be the most shocking piece of news. He admits that Raw has been pretty chaotic with last-minute changes. No shit. He said, "You know what? The boys and girls at the back. This whole dumb angle that this whole thing. Braun is dumb angle that Shane was doing. Yeah, I see some stuff there. He's like, it's really bad. Things change. Braun sad. But yeah, so he's come out. He's been quoted as saying, "Boys and the girls in the back all work really hard. It's been a little bit chaotic because everything's been all over the place." Obviously, with COVID and stuff going on, people have been getting sick and a lot of changes last minute. But a part of him enjoys
he's admitting people are getting sick. That's not good. WWE don't like that.
They don't like that at all. Can't even reference it by name. But yeah, he said this past Monday was a prime example. Everything was crazy because people got hurt, people were sick, and stuff changes. All of a sudden, you're in 3 matches in an hour and 10 minutes worth of a 3-hour show. You're freaking out, and you get out there, you get it done, and you hit a home run. So it's such a satisfying feeling.
I mean, no offense, Braun, but I wouldn't say home run per se.
Yeah,
but,
maybe a foul ball.
A show.
Yeah, a foul ball. It hit the bat. That's pretty much all that happened. But yeah, I don't know. He then goes on to speak about obviously how the ratings are at the moment, and a massive decline versus what they were a while ago. And he's kind of said, I don't even have cable. I keep up with our shows via the WWE Network app and social media. It's like, okay, you weren't definitely paid to say these things.
You're so tuned in, Braun, that you didn't realise it's moved to Peacock.
Well, exactly.
You dick.
But yeah, so I don't know. Kind of a nothing piece of news, really. But at the same time, it just goes to show that it must be.
To be honest, I was more surprised that it all seems like, not that he's particularly jumped in there and been controversial, but it's stuff that I would have thought he would be more cautious to say. Do you know what I mean? Like about people getting sick and about it, a lot of last minute changes. It just all reeks of the type of stuff that they wouldn't want the stars mentioning. So I think he might not be doing any interviews for a while.
Yeah, hopefully. No. I think the thing that's interesting about it to me is obviously you've got Bruce Pritchard running both shows now as well, so it's crazy to think that it is such chaos with last minute changes.
Deville. What about these guys?
My bad. Obviously, they play a huge part in.
Yes, they do. They're not on-screen talent only, honest.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know why it is so last minute. I don't know what happened to wrestling where it got to a point where things just couldn't be planned out in advance. And I know, the dare cheats and stuff out there of spoilers and things like that. But I don't know. Like, I still feel like you need some element of long-term planning to be successful, not just, well, today we're just going to change it up on the fly every week. So, interesting.
It's a shame. I mean, hopefully let's be honest, WWE, they're not stupid. Hopefully they'll see what's happening, because SmackDown and NXT are both like, all right, you could argue ratings wise NXT isn't, but SmackDown and NXT are both being better received from a critical point of view. So hopefully they understand that, and let's face it, the story work on both is significantly better than Raw at the minute. So
yeah, agreed.
Probably
Probably a topic I will go heavily into on Whiskey and Wrestling, just around how shit Raw has been. If you follow our socials,
very mad right now.
I'm pretty sure we're going to bring out a T-shirt at some point that is Mundane Night Raw, based on the fact of of last week and this week. So yeah, that's that one.
That's that one. So Carl, earlier in the night I asked you, what's worse than receiving a trash bag full of your stuff? Well, Chelsea Green answers that question for us. So quite recently, she launched her podcast, which is called 50 Shades of Green, and in that she decided to, as a topic, talk about the whole Mickie James incident. Now, obviously, it's come out since Mickie James put that tweet out there and made people very aware of how WWE returned their stuff to them when they've been released. There's been a few people, Gail Kim, Maria Kanellis, Chelsea Green, all have sort of come out and said a similar thing. Chelsea Green's story was particularly interesting, Carl, because she received her FedEx box with her trash bag in it, and decided to have a little look through, because she was actually a bit perplexed as to what could be in there. Did she leave that much? And she found some lovely items, but items that became very apparent weren't hers. And in actual fact, she stated that there were some things in there that were sort of, matching the style of Natalya, and quite clearly Natalya's. She mentioned some things that she thought might have been like the likes of Liv Morgan's and stuff like that. And basically, they just gathered up a box of random women's clothing and sent it to Chelsea Green, because that's how much they care. So I find this it just gets worse and worse, doesn't it? So obviously the podcast is an interesting one to listen to. She goes into this whole thing, and she has a lot more to say on it than the bits I'm paraphrasing. I just think it's just like, what is going on with that place at the minute? It's just fucking shocking, isn't it? You don't even get the stuff right.
No. I think as well, like, obviously they've tried to save face by firing Mark Carano, haven't they, and being like, oh, it was all his fault. But it clearly shows when the likes of Gail Kim are coming out and saying this, that it's been happening, that's just the way it's been done for years. So, to try and save face now in a more kind of, an era where people get a lot more offended and speak out a lot more about stuff, I feel like that's all they're trying to do is someone had to take the fall. It was Carano. But yeah, hopefully the policies change. And, the other part of me thinks, how much, what stuff are they leaving there? Like, I know obviously they've been operating out of the same venue for a while, so that could be why. But if Gail Kim and stuff saying this too, like, what stuff?
Well, it's the thing. I mean, I assume they've got, like, I don't know, storage with the, what I mean, that gets carried around. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but it's like you say, like, when they've been in the same location, you kind of get it. But the likes of Gail Kim and that, they were on tour anyway, so you'd expect, like, most of these stuff's kind of with you. The other thing I will point out, Carl, because I don't want to be all about, like, oh, WWE, the shocking, aren't they? She did also mention that obviously she feels that they handled it the best way they could, and obviously they released the person responsible for that sort of treatment. And she said they didn't even just go as far as the sort of tweet to the public apologising. They actually, or certainly from her experience, but they called each of them to apologise. And she even says that they sent some flowers as well. So, they've been incredibly apologetic, and you got to hope that it was something that they weren't aware of. But it's worrying how, in theory, long that has been going on, and they've not been aware of it. It seems like, let's look the other way kind of thing for me. But as I say, I don't want to be just on the WWE hate train. But yeah, it's just a bit odd for how long it's been going on, I suppose.
Yeah,
but an interesting one nonetheless.
And if you want to see a hilarious picture that I pulled together for YouTube around this one with Natalya holding some trash bags, yeah, make sure you check it out on YouTube, because, yeah.
And Natalia, if you're looking for your stuff, I think we know where it is.
Yeah.
Apparently, as well, another one that made me chuckle. Well, not it's not a major thing, but it made me chuckle a little bit. Is that they actually had to ring her to ask for her address, and I'm like, didn't you use her house to film shit? Wouldn't you think that'd be something you know? But hey,
Wow.
I'm not moaning. I'm just saying.
That is so ridiculous, isn't it? How can you not know the person's address, for fuck's sake? Like, oh hi, yeah, we just fired you. Where can we send you shit? And maybe other people's shit too that we just is lying around and we just don't want to look at it anymore.
It's like, we don't keep records of anyone's addresses. I mean, let's be honest, most of these guys are homeless here. So
Yeah.
what the fuck? You expect that's just information you have. Anyway,
Crazy.
That's that one, Carl. That's that one.
That is that one. And the next one, Anthony. Kurt Angle's going to be one happy man because his son, Jason Jordan, just got a promotion.
This explains why he's making a comeback, probably.
What a crazy angle that was. But yeah, so as we know, unfortunately, Jason Jordan, his wrestling career was, I guess, cut short. He had a neck injury back in 2018, right when he was kind of at the peak of the Kurt Angle being his dad storyline.
I don't think they ever officially I don't think he ever officially ended his career either, did he? Like, he's been out on injury, and it just looks like he's not coming back now. I don't recall it being ever announced properly, sadly. But
no. But I mean, if there's any kind of silver lining, it seems to be that he's found quite a bit of success as being a producer of some of the matches for the company, and seems to have impressed so much that he's actually being given a promotion to the production manager or the lead producer. So I think Johnny Ace or John Laurinaitis has now gone back to talent relations, who he previously held that role, and it seems like
flashbacks to the CM Punk Laurinaitis angle.
Yeah, I'd be the worst voice to fire you over the phone, wouldn't it? So just think, hey kid, yeah, you fired.
What the fuck is wrong with this phone?
But yes, obviously Laurinaitis went back to talent relations, and that left an opening as a lead producer, and Jason Jordan was given the opportunity. So great news for him. I think as well, it also appears that Adam Pearce was promoted, and I know we just joked a minute ago. I was like, well, yeah, like, not even shitting, yeah. We don't even know what his role and responsibilities are in real life, not even just on the show. So he's had a promotion, but we don't know what his job title is. We don't know what his responsibilities are yet either. So, yeah. And also from Jason Jordan's standpoint, we don't know what that lead producer title means, whether it means, of one show, all the shows. Nothing's kind of been mentioned on that. We just know that the new kind of president of WWE, Nick Khan, has been making quite a few changes, obviously, to the talent who got released, but also to the backroom staff as well. So yeah, congratulations to Jordan and also Adam Pearce, even though we don't know what the fuck he does. But yeah, hopefully if his career is over,
like I'm slightly jealous. Like I'd love for what does he do? I'd love that kind of status.
Yeah, it'd be so good. Like it's got to a point where it's gone that long, everyone's like afraid to ask him. But it's like, he probably is due a promotion now. So, but what does he do? I don't know. But he's been here with for ages. So, yeah, yeah. Okay. Just
maybe that's how it's. He's been like, I've been busting my ass in this company. I deserve a promotion, and they're like, just give him one. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, who knows?
It's nice to see all these promotions as well. Now they've freed up some money by firing a ton of people.
Yeah, funny that. Even though they had record years and got shitloads of money and massive network deals and the Peacock deal and everything, but
the money.
But no, obviously big congrats to everyone
Indeed.
Backstage who got them kind of promotions and stuff like that. And
it's always awesome to see someone who clearly has a love for the business and had the career cut short. It's awesome to see them find something within the business that they enjoy doing as well.
Defo.
So Carl, speaking of record breaking years and all that stuff that you just said a minute ago, right? Peacock, the new streaming service for WWE content, has reported an increased sign-up of 9 million after adding the WWE content and The Office as well. But It probably wasn't The Office. It was probably the WWE content. But The
Yeah,
Office is no longer on Netflix, and you can only find it on Peacock because they've got it exclusively, and people love watching The Office on repeat. But it's definitely not The Office. It's probably WWE stuff as to why they've had 9 million signups. And these signups are legit signups. It's not as if they were offering like a free service and may have included that in these figures. No, none of that either. This is definitely legit numbers that WWE have caused, definitely. And it's actually it is really good numbers. It's not like the previously signed up 11 million and then 10 million and now about dropped to 9 with new content. It's not a worry at all. Everything's great.
Yeah.
Joking aside, obviously it's good news. They are still signing up tons of people. 9 million is an impressive number, and let's be honest, the numbers are going to start dropping because there's going to be plenty of people who are already signed up, and they seem to be hanging with the bigger people like HBO and the like. They're not far off their numbers, and you've got to imagine WWE and all the previous pay-per-views and shows and all that kind of stuff that we love on the WWE network is all there now. So there's going to be a lot of that sign-up's going to be down to them. I do joke, obviously, some people will have signed up for The Office, let's be honest. But
I mean, are they going to have like exclusivity to the likes of Friends? That was obviously an NBC show, wasn't it? There's been like Scrubs as well. Was that NBC before it went to ABC? So I think
well, that's easiest. No, I'm not going to do it. Where is Scrubs now? Is Scrubs on Disney? I feel like I've seen Scrubs on Disney,
It might be.
Or is that just us because we don't get Peacock or HBO or any other fucking streaming service?
I don't really know, to be fair. It's going to get to a point where there's that many.
I've still got The Office on Netflix because we've not got any other streaming services over here.
See, I've been watching it on Prime, so it's nice that it's on both. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's so many fucking streaming services at the minute. So pretty good for them to get 9 million new subs. Do I think it's all down to WWE? Do I fuck? But, they've got a really good library of stuff for NBC, so I'd like to think that it will be successful for them, and it probably is going to be a good move in the long haul for WWE, especially for getting a new audience as well. Like, if they can get enough advertising on that platform, especially around the pay-per-views and so on and so forth.
And you know what? Tweak people's nostalgia. They might have watched it when they were kids. Draw them back in. And then they get to see Braun be a choo-choo train. And they get to see, birds flying in the sky because he's high and stuff like that. They're going to, people are just going to be like, this is the WWE I remember and love.
Like, to be fair,
I keep turning bitter with this. I'm so sorry.
They do produce a lot of good content on the network. Like, even no matter how bad the weekly TV shows are, like even just the occasional Broken Skull sessions with Austin, or the WWE 24s, or day offs and things like that. Like, there's loads of enjoyable stuff on there. So
this honestly might just be a UK thing, right? Because obviously we don't get to see the advertisements in the US, so I don't know if this is true across the board. But certainly here in the UK, the content on the network is just criminally under advertised.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much good stuff there that you just don't get. Like, it doesn't get advertised when you're watching SmackDown or Raw over here. And that is such a real shame because, like you say, like Icons alone is awesome. You know what I mean? And why I wasn't that heavier on the advertising to get people on the WWE network over here? It's just crazy. But
I do think it's mental how staggered the Icons episodes are, though. Like, I am waiting for Davey Boy's episode like so bad, and we've not had it yet. So
building that anticipation, keeping your monthlies.
I mean,
pay for the month, Carl. It'll be here soon.
Davey should have been coinciding with his Hall of Fame, surely. Like, that's when
you would have thought that's when it'd be like the most eyes on, wouldn't it? Really?
Well, I mean, even for us, we had Georgia on the show, and after the the Hall of Fame, we had like a big spike in views again for that interview with Georgia. So I think a lot more eyeballs would have been on Davey and the Smith family during that time. So yeah, basically, I just want to watch it. So just bring it on. But yeah, fair play. 9 million subscribers for Peacock is pretty good going, and it seems like a pretty good deal they've struck with Peacock.
The only thing I will say, and I joked on it before, but like, there is a sort of thought that like, is 9 million a worrying number in a quarter when they've dropped some huge names on their platform? Like, I still think it's fairly well considering what they have been signed up, but the fact that it's lower than previous signups and they've added a ton of shit, do you think that is a worry for Peacock?
I mean, is it 9? Like, I haven't actually read the whole story on it, but is it 9 million additional or like 9 million active at this
I
point?
think this is 9 million additional sign-ups.
See, I think that's
But
pretty good, to be fair,
I know, but I
because
think because they were saying it like they added 11 million in the first quarter and 10 million in the second, and for this third quarter it's only 9, and they've added so much to it. I think that's the sort of correlation. They're going, well, this should have been higher because they've added a ton of shit. As the mention of like, they're potentially including signing up to the free service as well. To inflate the numbers is also a little bit of a worry, but we don't know if they are or not. That's just a speculative point.
yeah, I think obviously I don't know what the other platforms have had, but for me, in like month 1 or quarter 1, whatever, to go from 11 to 10 to 9, that still holds pretty strong. Even though they have added a lot more stuff, but I'd imagine the
Plus,
people who signed up
you
probably
make
knew
it.
that stuff was coming.
Well, that's the thing. They signed up knowing what was coming, like you say. So there's things to look at like that. Plus, I think you make a good point. There's no mention of retention. Like, if they're retaining sign-ups from the first 2 quarters, then it's gonna plateau a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because there's
definitely.
still tons of people on there. But hey ho,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting.
It is interesting. That is definitely true. Speaking of interesting, this next one isn't.
No.
So, is Goldberg gonna come back to the WWE? Yes, unfortunately, because he's got a 2-match a year deal and he's had one already, which means he's got another one to come. So, no point speculating on is he going to return or is he going to potentially. He is going to return because his contract says so. But what is interesting about this piece of news is that he's revealed who he would like to match up against. And this name might surprise you. 9 out of 10 dentists. I don't know. Just seemed like one of those kind of things. But basically, he's listed Big E as the man he would like to share the ring with soon. And now I also want to call out, this isn't mentioned in this latest interview or article, but he has also heaped a lot of praise on Cesaro. So that's also worth shouting out. But yeah, he said he actually went on to tell quite an endearing story, really, which is, Goldberg endearing, what? But he recalled a time that they first met, and it was at like an autograph signing or something. And he said it was the only match that he was ever late for or he ever missed in WCW. He told him he couldn't catch the plane, and so yeah, basically because he had to stay and make sure that everyone at his autograph signing was going to be taken care of. And he said the Big E was one of the kids that he stayed for. He said he'll never forget his face and he'll never forget that day. So that's quite a nice story, to be fair. Yeah, I don't. Oh my god!
I will. I'll say something here, right? I've given a lot of shit over the last few months about Goldberg, mostly because and I'll still fucking stand by it that the way they dealt with the Goldberg Fiend stuff and the way they put the belt on him unnecessarily and the way he squashed younger talent was just fucking ridiculous to me and did feel like a mechanism to stroke his ego. I do still have those issues, right? But I'm starting the fact that he's looked at this and he's gone, I'm not just going back to win the top title again, and it's not an ego thing. And weirdly, and this is just sort of a random musing, but I found myself watching Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends not too long back, and it was one of the ones where, or the only one where he was looking at the world of wrestling, and he was at a WCW show at the time and was trying to speak to some of the stars and obviously for his documentary. And one of the few people who would actually have a decent conversation with him was Goldberg as well. You had the likes of Randy Savage and that who were basically, now go fuck yourself kind of thing, which was a real shame. But you had the likes of Goldberg and Roddy Piper who were yeah, let's have a talk. And they seemed like genuinely nice fellas, to be fair.
I shouldn't laugh. I've just got
Goldberg as a person, but I do have issue with the booking that he came back to. So, there you go.
No, I think to be honest, I've not seen that, so you'll have to give me some more details, or we can chat about it in Whiskey and Wrestling. But
we will do it because it's a fascinating one. It is a fascinating one. There's a lot I'd love to talk about around that. That could be a segment in itself because he went in the 90s, obviously when WCW was still a thing, and it was weird because I was watching it like now, and the difference in the business is insane. But again, we'll leave that for Whiskey and Wrestling.
Okay. I was just laughing because I was just thinking of Macho Man going, "Oh, you go fuck yourself, Louis Theroux."
He was just one of them. He was like, "I'm too important and busy to bother with your kind of approach," and I was like, go fuck yourself, Randy.
Yeah. Have you seen the A&E documentary on Randy? It's a good one.
No, I've been hearing some things that like.
I mean, they go in deep.
I think a lot of people were hoping for some mention of the controversy, or the potential controversy between him and Steph that WWE have never added any fuel to, and I don't think that materialized in the documentary, did it?
Yeah, I don't believe any of that. To be fair, it's one of the old urban legends. I can't see it.
I know, but it's one of them where WWE they've never even entertained it, which I think is probably the right move, especially with something that, like you say, is probably just total bullshit.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think for some reason, a lot of people were hoping that this might shine a light on all that. And it's like, yeah, it probably won't though.
But yeah, would you like to see Goldberg and Big E see their story come full circle from that time he stayed for him at an autograph show to
the time he kicked his ass and took his IC title?
I mean, to be fair, he said that he'd never forgot Big E from that moment. It's going to be hard to forget a little kid going, "Oh, don't you dare be sour, Goldberg."
Bouncing his around and dancing away,
throwing pancakes at his head and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird choice. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's a weird choice. I
think that is the weird thing. Like, I'm more power to him because he's quite endeared to Big E and he wants to have that match with him. But like, from a fan point of view, I'm like, I wouldn't have even like dream booked that match. It's like such a random pairing, really, in a way.
Yeah, 100%. Like, to be fair, I've got mad respect for Goldberg for the Drew McIntyre match. I thought that was something.
Yes, to be fair,
that just helped Drew and his career and his legacy that he's leaving at the minute. I know, obviously, it all went fucking south after that, but
that's exactly how Goldberg should have come back to the WWE. And I was just so angry and bitter about the whole Fiend thing that I just wanted to hate. But like, he did the right thing by McIntyre. You're totally right.
Yeah.
But if he comes back, right, if Big E wins the IC title back, which is probably what's going to happen at some point, right, and he comes back just to take Big E's IC title and then slowly make himself a Grand Slam champion, I'm going to be so fucking pissed off.
Yeah, maybe
a joke. Obviously, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, maybe Whiskey and Wrestling should be cancelled. I feel like you've had one too many already. If you're starting to, despise Goldberg less, that's a big revelation here on this show.
What is in this?
What is in that? So yeah, Goldberg, Big E, will it happen?
So yeah, Goldberg. So Carl, did you notice on WrestleMania 37 that WWE is no longer then, now, forever? It is now then, now, forever, together. Yeah,
really?
That's news.
I didn't know that. I noticed. Obviously, I noticed the whole signature changed. I didn't notice that subtle change in there. To be fair.
So apparently it has the 4 words now. And Stephanie, the reason I mention it now and not around WrestleMania time is, firstly, I didn't fucking notice, but secondly, is because Stephanie McMahon has spoke about why they've done it, and she's basically said it's almost like trying to embrace the community thing and embrace inclusivity. So she's talking about their wide sort of fan base and everything that's happened over the last few years, and it just seemed appropriate to sort of acknowledge that as part of their signature, to essentially to point out that inclusion and how grateful they are for the fans, and how obviously everyone's different and everyone's got their own sort of embrace with it, and ultimately it's something they've been doing like since day one. It's not just like, well, let's be inclusive now. It's the way they've always tried to be, and it just felt like the right thing to put in. But do you ever just wonder sometimes whether trying to do your PR thing and coming out with words like inclusivity when you've been sacking people left and right during a pandemic is a bit of a stupid thing to do? And again, I don't want to be all Let's be negative about WWE all the time. I don't mind it as a signature. I don't know. Maybe next year we're gonna have, then, now, forever together again. I don't know, but
Then,
it's
now, forever, together, whatever.
wherever, whenever we're meant to be together. Sorry, but yeah, it's
I've got visions of like Shakira just like in the background, just of a WWE signature. Whatever, wherever.
so yeah. I mean, not only have they've changed their signature, they've ruined my joke signature of Sunday, Monday, whenever. We're gonna have to fucking change that now and include another one. So, thanks WWE.
Fuming.
But,
Also, anyone
yeah,
listening or watching, should we bring that back? It's something me and Anthony have discussed a few times. I loved the work that this man right here did on that signature. Obviously, we went through a bit of a brand update, a bit of a name change and stuff, so it would need a little bit of tweaking. But I don't know, I loved it. And
yeah,
one of the reasons we took it away was simply that we thought it was better to not have you guys sit through, this intro every time you want to listen to the show, and then us trying to sell you a load of things and advertising and stuff like that. And now we just go straight into it. So that's one of the reasons. But yeah, I've always had a soft spot for it. I think it was so well edited, put together, and I don't know. I'm on the fence. So let us know. Should we bring it back?
Genuinely, because we tried some other ones since, and I've never liked any of them as much as that, if I'm honest. So
no, that one was just brilliant. I think with a couple of updates, just changing it instead of my terrible Paul Heyman impression. That's right, it wasn't Paul Heyman, people, it was me. But if we update that to the A2theK Wrestling Show, it could work, I think. But yeah, so interesting snippet. I didn't actually know that, so even I am learning.
What do you make of it? I mean, do you like having together in there?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I didn't know.
Is it wrong that I don't like it just because that's not what I'm used to? Like,
I think for me,
that kind of guy.
It was more that I just didn't notice it. If anything, I noticed that the signature had changed. It was different music. It was a different order of like catchphrases and stuff like that. Like I got it, but I didn't actually notice it. So I guess it, for me, is probably more the fact that it was too subtle of a change for me to even pick up on. So, yeah.
Well, true fans did, Carl.
I'm sorry, I'm not a true fan. And speaking of, no, I can't really use that as a segue. But the next one, Anthony, friend of the show, Santino Marella, Anthony Carelli. He has.
If we do ever get him on the show, you're gonna have to stop trying to do the accent, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That mean I have to not have a cobra down my pants and just like have that do the talking.
I'll be honest, my head for some reason when you do the accent, it kind of goes to Joey and Friends. That's what I suspected.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll take that. I didn't know whether you meant that or like the French one where he's like blue 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 blue. But
I mean that could work too.
But anyway, so Santino Marella has tweeted to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon saying, "Remember my little daughter Bianca Carelli? Well, she's a woman now, and she's been coached since day one to be a total superstar. Biology degree is done this summer, and then she's ready for her time to shine." And he posted a picture, like a promo picture of her in like some kind of, I want to say like lingerie or some kind of swimsuit or something. But like, she looks good. She looks the part. It's definitely the kind of, she's definitely the kind of person that WWE would take a look at. And I think as well, if she's been training for this, she's into the business, and she must have a lot of charisma coming, from Santino.
I mean, let's be honest, right? People can they can overlook comedy characters like Santino, but he's fucking good at what he does. So,
he was so good. I loved him.
The coach,
you have so many bad, skits and comedy things and angles in this business, and then you've got someone like Santino who was fucking brilliant. He was an absolute treasure to this business. I loved everything he did. I thought he was one of the best comedy acts to come into the, this whole fucking crazy world of wrestling for many years. So yeah, he's always going to be a legend in my book. But yeah, so obviously he came out with that, obviously tagging Triple H and Stephanie in it as well, basically saying that she's ready, notice her, give her an opportunity, and then quite nicely Beth Phoenix as well also tweeted at her, saying that Bianca was cutting promos at 10 years old, and that they blew all of us away, ready to take on the world, and then put NXT, WWE, Triple H, Steph McMahon,
Nice.
tagged them as well, and obviously Bianca was like, well, yeah, thank you so much, it means a lot. If it also feels like it was yesterday. So, if she's been doing this and being around the business since she was 10 years old, now turning 21, almost about to finish a degree, that's 11 years of being around the business and, being into it and caring for it. So absolutely, she's got the look, definitely, she's got the chops if she comes from, if her dad's daughter, he was such a charisma machine. I'm excited for her, to be fair. I really hope
Definitely,
that, they do give her an opportunity, and I think I'm excited to see what comes from it.
I mean, there's no reason she can't at least get to the PC and prove her worth, really. But slight side note: did you see one of the top comments in response to his tweet? It's like, I'm fooling no one, Santino. That's you again, isn't it? That was fucking funny.
Yeah, I saw that. That was hilarious. I think I also saw people saying, what about the women's tag division? Maybe Santino's sister and Santino's daughter should be teaming up. Yeah, they won't do that anymore.
No, I think they handled it really well when Santina made a return in the Women's Rumble. To be honest, I thought it was quite well done.
Do you know what? It was very poignant, that wasn't it? It was executed really well. Just kind of that look of like,
I think
this was
we were
stupid.
both sat there ready to cringe, and then they actually dealt with it, and I was like, okay, that was good. That was executed really quite well. Mm-hmm. Well done. Speaking of the women's division and being executed really quite well, the next one, Carl, is one Maria Kanellis, who you might recall both her and her husband. Apologies, I delayed on that slightly because I can't remember if they're married. Mike Bennett. They were released from WWE in the previous year, the first round of releases, and she's been rather outspoken since. And quite recently, she's been rather outspoken about one Stephanie McMahon, because essentially, and I can kind of get where she's coming from. She feels like the Stephanie and her approach to the advocacy of women's wrestling is more of a promotional thing, and has basically said she needs a reality check. The position and power that Steph's in, she should be doing a lot more for the women's division. She referred basically to the Women's Evolution pay-per-view back in 2018 and the fact that it was successful and apparently never merited another one, and no one seems to care. She mentioned obviously the amount of pointless pay-per-views they have, and obviously plenty of opportunity to do one of them as a women's empowerment pay-per-view, and basically was just sort of essentially lambasting her that she's not doing, as a woman and a woman in power, why is she not doing more? What do you make of it, Carl?
I don't know. I think she might have a point, to be fair. I don't know. I think Steph tried to make the women's evolution stuff a little bit all about her, didn't she? I think
it was happening anyway. Like, they may have signed off on a pay-per-view, right? Don't be wrong. She's like what, chief executive officer, whatever. What is she now? Chief branding officer.
I don't know.
So her job is branding, right, or whatever. Now,
I don't even think she's that. I think she's like chief creative officer or something. I don't know.
What is her title, Carl? Come on, you should know this.
The $1 Million Princess, $1 Billion Princess, something like that.
It says here, Daddy's daughter. That's the one. But no, like, she's going to be well aware. Like, this is the same woman who said about. Didn't she made, like, again, I'm paraphrasing, but she made a crass comment about doing charity work, that it's like the best PR. So she's well aware that a lot of these things are a business decision and help you look good as a company. But like, the women's evolution was happening anyway. You could see it happening, and they've just sort of seen it and acknowledged it and ran with it, as they rightly should have. I do have a lot of thoughts on women's wrestling that I hope we talk about in Whiskey and Wrestling, Carl. So I won't harp on too much here, but I get some of what Maria's saying here, but I think for WWE, it's a difficult line to tread, and we'll talk about that more in Whiskey and Wrestling as to what I'm going on about. But I don't think it's as easy as going, well, let's make it all about women. I think they have to be a little bit different in their approach to WWE. And if you're curious what the fuck I'm on about, then tune into Whiskey and Wrestling.
Okay.
But yeah, I take it you're like, yeah, Maria's totally right.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Maria, so yeah, I'll take her word any day. So
yeah.
I
mean, she was always actually genuinely one of my favourites in that era. Is it reality era, late reality era? I don't think she was PG era, was she? I don't know. But
yeah, probably reality. Yeah, Ruthless Aggression. Is she Ruthless Aggression?
Maybe. I feel like maybe actually, yeah.
Too many eras.
John Cena was on the up, wasn't it? So I suppose you're right there.
I'm sure there was a segment where John Cena probably just was like, "So, I want to kiss Maria now," and they were like, "Yeah, okay, we'll just write it into the show." Like, nothing ever came of it. It was like, okay.
But yeah, we'll talk about women's wrestling some more, Carl. We will.
But the next one we're going to talk about, Anthony, is our buddy Chris Jericho. Has been speaking on the recent WWE releases, and one star he said he would love to see in AEW is, of course, Samoa Joe. He said Samoa Joe is an established main event heavyweight champion guy. He said those guys have got 3 months before they can go anywhere, but I would love to see Joe in AEW at some point. It's another dream match if you want to go there. I've never wrestled him. I think we had one little 3-minute shitty little match on Raw, and it was just kind of thrown away. And I didn't want to do it because I said this is a pay-per-view match, but that's the WWE style. I think Joe and Jericho, Joe and Omega, Joe and Cody, Joe with, put name here is a money match. So he's definitely got Jericho's backing. Another one, interestingly though, as well. I mean, well, in fact, no. Let's talk about Joe. Would you want to see Joe in AEW?
I think Joe could fit in AEW. Yeah, I think I am very, very picky about who should be in AEW. I don't think it's as simple as because I know a lot of AEW fans and a lot of WWE fans can get very visceral about this, and you either love one or the other. I like both, and some people are WWE people, and some people aren't. And I think Joe. He was really good in NXT. I'm not knocking him, and he could have been a WWE person. He's one person who can fit the bill for AEW. But you get certain people honestly, and I know people are all over it at the minute, and it'll sort of move on to my next point shortly. But people really want Daniel Bryan in AEW. I personally don't. So I think you can get selective about it, and it is a personal preference. But yeah, I actually would be quite happy with Joe in AEW.
See, that's so interesting because for me, I would much prefer Daniel Bryan than Joe. And the reasons for that is probably because I am what you would call an AEW fanboy. And AEW gets a lot of flack, obviously, as we talk about often, of them being just another, WCW, just another TNA, for example. And it's if you look at that roster now, they've signed Christian, they've got Sting, if they get Joe in the mix as well, we just need Scott Steiner to do the math. And you're pretty much adding up to TNA of old. So it's a bit, I don't know, I do have reservations of it. I do think Joe is a good worker, a good talent, and there's a lot of stuff, that could still be done with him. But I don't know, for me, I feel like he should probably go to Ring of Honor, whereas the likes of Daniel Bryan is still a fucking mega draw that would be really important for AEW.
Thing is, I don't know. This is purely a personal preference. I'm not naive enough to go they wouldn't want to be after Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan wouldn't be a great get for them, and he would like you say, he's a big enough name that he'd be a massive draw for them. I totally understand that. It's just for me, Daniel Bryan is too ingrained with WWE, and certainly my watching of WWE, that he's a WWE guy in my head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, he came from Ring of Honor, or a lot of people loved him in the Indies, and as the American Dragon and all that kind of stuff. But I knew that Daniel Bryan, the ultimate underdog, in WWE, who's main evented WrestleMania more than once, who's won numerous world titles, who's just ingrained in that business in that era, and I'm just I don't know. He's almost too WWE for me to sort of accept him in AEW, as daft as that sounds, and it is a personal thing. But
You're wrong, damn it. Look at Big Show. Look at Christian.
Look, but this is the thing. Have I ever been a fan of Christian there? Have I ever said anything like that? I made up for Christian
Well,
being
to be
there?
fair, Christian went to TNA as well, didn't he? So, I guess he's less of a WWE for life kind of guy. But like Big Show rocking up on there was a big culture shock.
I'm slightly petty about these things, and I know what I'm doing, but like if Big Show was to come and have an in-ring career with AEW, I wouldn't like it. Like, and even like Daniel Bryan could come to AEW and he could have some fantastic matches, and it'd be some pairings that people would really want to see. But I don't know, Pat. It'll never sit well with me and being sort of AEW branded. Daniel Bryan being all elite, I don't know.
Crazy. You crazy.
I know, but
there'd be Bryan Danielson all elite as well. I'll have you know, but I don't know. I definitely want to see D-Bry in AEW. Well, Samoa Joe would be nice, but at the same time, I've got reservations around obviously the whole TNA connection.
Well, let's segue into the last one, Carl. And we're talking about Daniel Bryan. Why are we doing that, Carl? Well, rumor has it that Daniel Bryan's contract actually expired after the match with Roman Reigns. That was his. That was the end of his contract. Now this is speculative because Bryan has been very quiet about his contract status, but the last report was that it was rumored to be expiring after that match, and that's why they did it as a "you leave the show for good" kind of crap. What do you reckon? Do you reckon he hasn't re-signed with WWE? Because let's be honest, we've not heard one way or the other.
I mean, based on all reports, I think it legitimately has expired. Do I think he's gonna go and just go elsewhere? Maybe not. I guess he's got two choices to make, hasn't he? I think he's well within his right to go, do you know what? I want to go and have a year in a lot of other companies, then I want to come back to WWE and do something behind the scenes, trainer, whatever, and go that route. Or he can just go, do you know what? I don't want to be in the ring anymore, but I'll have like a Legends type contract. And
I don't think at any point there's going to be any bad feeling there. Like you say, he might have some interest in doing some other stuff that WWE just wouldn't want him to do. So, like you say, he won't renew his contract and he'll do his own thing. He's been very positive about his time in WWE, understandably, because he's had a really good status in there. He referred to, obviously, he's met his wife from WWE. He's main evented Mania twice. He's, I think he said something along the lines of, like, basically been paid well enough to retire at the age of 40. Should he choose. So when you look at it and you go, well, WWE could make a big point of trying to keep him, but if it's not about the money, and he is the type of guy who I reckon it probably wouldn't be, and he'd be like about the love of wrestling, if he wants to do something a bit different outside of WWE, I could see him being like, no bad feeling, but I'll go back to the indies for a bit and have some different matches. I could see that.
Yeah. I think he was quite outspoken in saying that he wanted, I think last week we spoke, he basically said, I would be open to work in AEW, I would be open to going back to Ring of Honor. He wants to go and work in as many places as he can while he can. I think, the sad thing with it is, he nearly retired once already because of injury, and I read somewhere, or he gave an interview, I've definitely seen something about it, where he said it got to a point where one of his daughters wanted to, go on his shoulders to be lifted up to do something. And he said he couldn't because it physically hurt him too much. And it's like, how long can I have a fully active career and jeopardize this kind of time with my kids? And, you and I, as fathers, we know that how important that is. So I think he's probably at that point where he's like, do you know what? I've done everything I need to do. I've main evented WrestleMania, won all the belts. He's still got a thing for wrestling, but definitely not a full-time schedule. So,
it's one thing, like you say, I think we can both appreciate is the career becomes a lot less important when you've got that to consider. And, he will be thinking of time with his kids. And obviously he's got that extra factor that we don't have to consider is the physical toll he's taken. And that sort of hinders him. So, it's going to be a factor, definitely.
Yeah. But I don't know. I would be definitely keen to see him rock up in AEW. I know you've got reservations, but I would love to see it, even if just like a part-time basis, or for like a couple of feuds, getting like a few, him Jericho, him Omega, him Darby. There's some good stuff to be. Don't you laugh just because I said Darby.
No, it's the way you were saying it. It's like almost Braun Strowman, like. Yeah.
Omega.
Like pointing at
Choo
pictures.
choo! Hype train, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it'd be amazing if we do get to see him in some other companies, but at the same time, he's done everything he needs to do in the business. So if he chooses, hey, I'm just going to do like a Legends deal and, you know, rock up on like a couple of random episodes of Raw or, you know, something like that, then sound. You know, he deserves it, doesn't he? And at the end of the day, as we both know, you know, family and his health is the most important. So whatever he chooses to do, you know, he's got our backing, hasn't he? So all the best to him.
Exactly. And that's the news, Carl. Done.
We've done it. We've made it through all the news. And we'll be back to run through this week, which is technically last week because we're so far behind. I mean, it's always last week.
Run
but
through
like,
last week
yeah,
in wrestling.
really last week in wrestling. Right after this noise.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A2theK.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.